Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is look at the way the grain's going. So I can see on there that sort of heading in that direction. If we then take the plane that way, it's going to tear out a new one. So we'll go in that direction for a start, a couple of passes, and we'll have a face ready to joint on that.
Yeah.
Now, some of these corners are a little bit dinked and things. Doesn't really matter, but what we'll do is just put a bit of pencil on there. That's set up nice. Lovely even curl, and that's taken all of that pencil off there, so that's ready to joint. That's it.
You're looking at one pass then,
one pass and that's done, I think.
You made that look too easy.
Some of them might need two.
Do you want to show me that about another 200 times? Are we only doing that one side, are we, mate?
Both sides. So once you've done that, those faces will be ready to joint. You're never going to get a perfect glue up. You know, you're always going to get a little bit of staggering, that sort of thing. The whole chain might try and curve a little bit in the clamps. It doesn't matter, because this face here, we're going to stick back through the bandsaw again, probably only take a whisper off, and then that's when we get the sandpaper on it, because we can't plane across the grain that way. We can only plane that direction. We haven't got enough space. So sandpaper. If the vise dinks that up a little bit, it doesn't matter. Remember, when these chains are put together again as well, we're going to close it up like that. So if it does have dinks in the middle, you won't see it. It doesn't matter.
Looking at that piece now then, mate, what side of that are we cutting on at the end? Which side is it?
None of these sides. We'll be cutting on the end.
Yeah, so
we'll
all
be cutting on the end grain.
Won't be on show, you know,
no.
so a little bit of dinking.
No. The only bits on the show will be the side pieces, but then again, we're going to cover most of that up anyway.
But that's the final cutting edge there.
That's it, yeah.
End grain.
That's on the top. And again, when we glue these up, some of them are going to be different lengths, because they weren't the same in the board.
Like you say, take a whisper off and level them all up.
What we'll do is we'll get that on the leveling jig and get the whole lot leveled pretty damn good. So
cool. I'm up for this. I'm actually starting to see it now, mate.
Yeah.
Seriously, yeah.
Right. What we've got to do, we've got to mark as we go.
Yeah.
Remember? Oh, where's the pencil? Right. We're going to have a lot of these blocks. Some of them will be obvious that you've cleaned them up, and some won't.
Yeah.
So we're just going to mark it as we go. The usual mark is just to put a little, whatever you want to call it, little bow on it.
Yeah.
It's an age-old reference to having a right-angled edge. So you put it on the edge there like that, and then you know that that's your right-angled edge. Now, actually, the way we've cut that, you probably have got a pretty good edge. So, yeah.
So everyone marked with that.
So put your little. If you don't want to mark it like that, put SRP on it instead.
Yeah.
Whatever, so you know that that's the face.
I like the sound of that face.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these old school practices, isn't it? Yeah, I love it. Okay, mate, so I'm away with that.
Yeah. So again,
I mean,
this one might need a couple of passes.
I'm a bit of a layman, I'm a butcher. So how do we start with this? We put that flatbed onto the wood.
So we check the way the grain's going.
Yeah.
Again, it's a little bit hard on this. We can see it's going that direction. I reckon if we put it that way, it's going to tear up. So we'll put it in that direction. Oak's fairly forgiving anyway. Right. Get this face on first.
Yeah.
Now, if it helps to grab it or lean on it, whatever you want to do, because you've got to keep that flat all the way across. So then we start. There's no speed involved.
Is it more power? What am I?
Yeah, just slow, just torque. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again. And as that front edge is coming off, we don't want to be diving down with it. So that's when we just put the weight on the
back,
the weight in the middle or on. Yeah. And only a good blade will take shavings off this.
I said to you before we started filming this about how bad the planes were when we were taught at school.
Yeah.
And I get it now. You know, when you're going against the grain at the time, you don't take no notice and you're tearing it up, aren't you?
That's it. Yeah. But to be honest, I never learned at school the principles of why you plane and what the plane's for. And actually, that is finer than you'll get most sandpapers.
Sure.
So, you know, there'd be no point in sanding that if that was a finished face.
Yeah.
I can see that looks pretty clean. Not going to do anything more to that. What we might have done inadvertently, because, you know, we're doing this pretty haphazardly, is we might have taken that edge out of out of square to the face,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, because again, once we glue this up, if the chains end up like this all the way around, we can stagger it, we can sort of work it out,
Yeah.
and then paint it all up again. What I quite like actually is when we've got a chopping board that's finished, some of these angles might be wildly out, but it looks quite cool, having like a bit of a cross angle or whatever and all mixed up. And,
Yeah.
and it adds loads of strength to it. Like with this, you might have the odd one that's got one left in it.
Yeah.
That won't matter actually.
Yeah.
It just makes a bit of character really.
Cool.
So we've seriously broken the back of this now. We're over halfway, and it hasn't actually been a big deal, has it? It's been pretty good.
It's been good, yeah.
I'm going to have to drive you around to A&E to have your shoulder looked at in a bit, and you know, you might have to have one of your fingers sewn back on, but yeah, I mean, you know, it's the cost of having a proper job done, isn't it, really?
Well, it's a proper job, isn't it? I'm not used to that.
Because these are all off different chains, we're going to have a little sort through and just try and get the thicknesses right, so that when we glue them up back into their new chains, we're not going to have so much wastage. So, I mean, we are going to have to trim a little bit off at the end anyway, but you know, we may as well try and get as much as we can out of it.
But that was sounding like a nutter. How about this height difference then, mate?
Doesn't make any difference, because the thing is, we're going to glue up like this.
Of course, yeah.
So the beauty of that is, it makes it look handmade. They're all slightly different heights.
And then you can skim it to...
Well, it doesn't matter, you see, because once we've got all these chains, it means all these... is that in, is it? Like, can you see that?
Yeah.
So once we've got all these chains, all these lines, they're all going to be staggered. They're all going to be all over the place. So it means that rather than having, you know, the next chain kind of lining up, it's going to be all off. Even if it's a little bit off or half over, a bit like building a house, it's going to be, you know, maximum strength. It wasn't really like that before. They were all kind of even, which looks nice, but you know, it's not strong. So, yeah, no, it's organic and beautiful.
So, what are we doing now? Sorting out the size, and then what are you going to do? We're going to glue up a chain?
So we glue up a chain. We'll try and get it so they're all kind of the same size, so it means less work for us later on. It means we're not wasting too much, because every cut we're doing, we're making the board smaller, and we're going to have to find extra wood to kind of add on to the sides to even it up again. But yeah, so then we're going to get the clamps out. We'll make sure we're not gluing extra blocks onto the chains, make sure they're just the right length that we need, and that's the way we go. We'll get a couple of chains done now.
Nice one, mate.
So the lovely thing about this process, which it doesn't look like it's happened, you know, in the blocks before, is we can actually orientate each block so that the grain isn't all sort of pointing in the right direction. You know, if each block's going to want to cup, it's not all going to cup in one go, so we can sort of zigzag it, so it just makes it a lot more stable. It also makes it a bit prettier on top, so you've got a bit of a nicer pattern. So for instance, on that one you can't really see, but the grain's sort of moving slightly in that direction. This one again, that's going in that direction, so we'd flip that up, so it's the opposite. Here we've got one that's kind of quarter sawn a little bit, or rift sawn. You know, we can stick that anyway, but so we just do that all along. We mark off the order that it's got to go in. We just do that with every chain, then we can just all glue them together efficiently.
Okay then, so it's gluing time, yeah?
That's it. Let's just have a think about, yeah, we're pretty good. Okay.
What's the glue you're using then, mate?
So, I always use Type Bond 3. It's the best.
It's the best.
Type Bond 3, it's FDA approved. It's it's the only real food safe glue you can get hold of, and it's just fantastic. It's got a great open gluing time, so you can spend a little bit longer on sort of fanning around getting it all put together, and then when it does do its stuff, 12 hours time you can open it back up again and it's absolutely solid. I mean, we're quite warm today. Probably do it again later on today. Really, start taking these apart and sanding them.
Yeah, cool.
So most efficient way of doing this, we've got them all lined down where where it's going to be. There's no point in gluing two sides because it just doesn't need it. So the way I like to do it, open them all out like this. Stick a nice dollop of glue on. Better safe than sorry with it. It's going to.
Is that Type Bond glue?
That's Type Bond. Rated #1 by pros.
Ka-ching.
It's not the cheapest, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, like you say, it's being cleaved on, hasn't it? So it's got to have some integrity.
It's going to get some abuse. It's a waterproof glue too, so
yeah.
When you get your bloods and your gore running through the board,
and all of the
and you will with oak because oak's not the best. Then so when you get your funks and your bloods running through the board, it's not going to fall apart. And trust me, some of these old hide glues and things, they will fall apart, just like this one.
So like you said, when we are doing this, like that piece there, to a lot of people, and to me, that looks like a perfect piece. But like you said, it's all about the joint of you. You're
I'm a joint man, yeah.
Yeah, you are a master craftsman, so it's got to be right.
Well, the fact that I can see those joints, and it's not just because they're different colours, different grains. You can see the glue joint, and that's just not good enough. That will break.
So when these come off and we've sanded them, it will just look like one solid piece then.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, you've got different coloured, different bits of oak, but it will, it'll be good. So I'm just trying not to get that trapped. Now, these clamps are seriously overkill for what we're going to do. Let's just do it all over there. These clamps are seriously overkill for what we're going to do, but it's all we've got.
You made these clamps though, didn't you?
That's it, yep. I can't afford the posh ones, and actually these do work well.
Yeah.
I mean, another key to having a good glue joint is being able to squeeze it up real nice and tight.
And what glue would that be? Type Bond 3?
I think so. I think the Type Bond 3. Rated #1 by pros. Right, I've spotted a little bit of a inconsistency here. I think we have a block that's not going to play ball. It might need a bit of replaning.
Yeah, can we swap that over, or do you want me to plane that one out? Or?
That's all right, I'll just swap it over, that'll be fine. I was wondering why it wasn't behaving.
That guy on the plane ain't no good.
That must have been one that Kate did.
Good job I ain't going to be sitting with you when you watch this. Like a glove.
That's better. Look at that. Now, they're not all going to be the same length. It doesn't really matter. As long as they're kind of roughly matching. We know this board is going to shrink. It's going to be a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter. But it's going to be a bit stronger.
Yeah.
Couldn't find a smaller spanner either.
So that's that all pushed up tight then.
That's it. Yeah, we're gonna stick 3 on here, I know it seems daft, but it does balance out. Does balance the pressure out a little bit. I can get this apart. So it might seem a bit overkill having 3 clamps on here, but it does help balance out the pressure, so we're not trying to sort of force a curve into it over one way, and we do need this pretty flat. It doesn't have to be sort of sanded flat, but it's just got to go back through the bandsaw and not have too much taken off of it, so we don't get a lot of wastage.
Yeah.
We don't want to be making more chains than necessary. There's enough to do as it is. You know, what of your dodgy old shoulder and things? You don't want to be planing too much. Right, that is looking tickety-boo. So I'm going to stick a bit more on this one now.
Yeah.
And
a bit more pressure just to really close them up.
That's it, yeah. In fact, that's probably the best one we've done yet.
Obviously, not too much pressure so they don't buckle out. I suppose you've got to find.
Well, you know what blacksmiths are like. They don't, you know, there's no in between really.
No.
But as long as as long as it's balanced.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to see a good bit of squeeze out on the joints. Yeah. You know, we need to make sure. I've just got the hide mallet. Might just have to walk me over here a second so I can. Here's one. Okay. You know, we need to make sure that they're pretty flat so that we're not actually going to be wasting too much wood. That's looking good. Happy with that.
Are you ready with that?
Yep.
Excellent, mate. Brilliant. Right, how many more to do?
A lot.
No worries.
I don't know where we're going to get all the wood from. It doesn't. The amount we've got to cut up doesn't kind of look like
don't say that.
It'll work. So I got those pieces in the back as well. So we've got all those pieces to recycle.
Right, let's get on a bit then.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll have a go at gluing this. Get them up. Bit of mayo, yeah?
That's it.
You're going to come out. If you've got to pull the lid up, it works better.
That's a good amount. When we're doing big boards, we have hundreds of these at a time. It's a bit of a race against time then.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice to just do a little one.
Then fettle it with the brush, yeah? Happy with that, Ollie?
Yeah, just get it right to the edges on those. Perfect.
Yeah, cool.
And drop them in.
So drop them in. Put that on there. So obviously that one there, it's got a bit of a split. We'll still use it. We like all these little dinks. So it'll go into the middle. It won't be an end. So I can get that there like that. Then we've got to balance it up.
You just go over that way a little bit.
Yeah.
That's it.
So how long does this glue take to set?
Well,
12 hours.
Type 1-3.
Type 1-3, it's the ultimate wood glue though, isn't it?
Number 1 by pros.
Never. I've heard it's waterproof exterior and interior.
Superior strength.
It'll never take off.
Longer assembly time.
Surely they've got to give us something now. Little bit of my DNA going into this now, bro. That sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it?
Well, we'll let this breed overnight and See what we've got in the morning.
So that's the top set. Now we just got to tighten up the Dubry Firkins, I think is the official
Yeah,
term.
don't mind just holding on to
Yeah.
that. See, most modern clamps are a little bit more efficient than this.
Yeah.
but,
That modern stuff.
yeah, we're just going for brute force.
Yeah. Want me to give it a bit of a bump with the old Dubry?
Yeah, just tap them down.
Any place particular?
Just go over every one, just make sure they're all sitting flat.
How's that, mate?
Looking good.
Cool?
Yeah, lovely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay then, Ollie, so this is one of the first completed chains we've done out of that wooden block, isn't it?
Yeah, so this has had an overnight glue in. It doesn't look pretty at the moment. It's not going to, but just have faith. It will all be revealed.
The big reveal, hey?
I mean, really, at this stage, the reveal is making sure it doesn't fall apart, and if
Yeah.
it doesn't, if it stays together, we've done all right.
I imagine your work, mate. Look at that.
I'm happy with that.
So the next process with this then, mate, is take a wafer thin slice off on
Yes,
the
I'm going to
bandsaw.
run this through a bandsaw now. I'll start by taking the convex edge off so it sits flat on the fence.
Yeah.
Then we flip it over, do the same on the other, and then it's ready for our sanding jointing then. So in a few seconds you'll see how it compares to
One of the originals.
the original chains here that we've already sort of sawed out. So
So it's over to the saw.
that's it.
Okay, let's do this. Okay then, Ollie, that was some serious close shaving. I mean, it looks fantastic. You want to just talk us through what we got there, mate?
So again, original chain.
Yeah,
That's before we've chopped the blocks out.
yeah,
This is our glued up, your beautifully jointed chain. And you can see that's the
that.
veneer that's come off it. There is no way that the glue up on that would hold like that. I mean, that is some seriously good jointing. There's a lot of pressure on that too on that end.
yeah. So you were talking about all along that you were not happy with the size of the joints, and this just proves how good a job you've done. There's your original.
So this is
There's
straight,
the new.
both of these are straight off the saw. That's the original, that's the new. I mean, I don't know if you can pick it up there, but you know, you've got a joint there that you can almost fall down. And these are just as good as they're ever going to get,
Beautiful.
really.
So now these go over to be sanded on.
Yeah,
This
so
beautiful thing.
we've got a bit of a Heath Robinson jig here.
The finest British engineering.
No, I had to go and forget the roll of sandpaper, didn't I? So we've got to do what we've got. Bit of gaffer. And basically to get the joint, I mean, I know this looks daft, but this is actually the only real way of doing this. If we had a drum sanding machine or a wide belt sander, we could feed these through. But even then it's a little bit short, you know, and chances of doing damage to this of the machine are quite great. So when you've got a block like this, you can't clean it with a plane across the grain. You can only go in that direction, which is no good for us. We need this dead flat so that all of these can be glued up tight together. And you can see just the improvement on that as well, just how tight that joint is. And that's one side hasn't even been done. So
Time for a bit of hard work there.
essentially, we've got quite a lot of that to do. Now the easiest way to do it, stick a bit of pencil on it,
And playing until it, sand until it's gone.
That's right, that's it. Trying to get across the paper, we'll clamp this down. It might be easy if one of us gets on one end.
Yeah.
It's going to take some doing, but a lot of these to do. And both sides got to be done too. You can see it's not going, it's getting there.
Wow.
It's made a start. You know, just having the bandsaw nice and flat helps.
Yeah. Right. Let's not stand on ceremony. Let's do a bit of hee-haw, whatever you call it, to and fro in. Just the other side now.
No, we're not quite ready for it. I'm not sure if we can just sand or have to bandsaw the other side yet or not.
Yeah. Okay. How do you feel after that workout?
Feel a bit puffed out actually.
It's looking a lot better, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Are you happy with that, mate?
Very. I mean, that's good enough to joint off. I mean, yeah, it's a slight hollow there. But actually, really, you know, you've got all the edge around here and a good bit of meat that's going to be.
A good bit of meat. Will it be a bit tough? Look at that, though. From what we started with, and if you look, we prepared all those ready to go back in. So now we've just got to do this about 14 times, yeah?
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be a bit more than 14 actually, but yeah.
Don't make me cry.
Yeah.
But you're happy with that?
I'm very happy, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if it was me, I might go for a few more sands on it actually, but you know, I don't want to put you off it.
Do you want to go a couple more sands?
I want to get those little lines out there.
Okay.